My dear child, the instant you pressed play, the atmosphere around you transformed. Someone who cares deeply for you, someone whose heart quickens at the mere mention of your name, found themselves momentarily breathless upon witnessing your unexpected arrival. Before you fully grasp the significance of this, allow me to emphasize that their reaction was anything but trivial, casual, or ordinary. It was a visceral response that reverberated through their very core, stalling their movement and drawing their gaze like an irresistible force. They were completely unprepared for your appearance, and yet, when your visage, as well as your name or energy, manifested, it struck them with such intensity that the world seemed to halt for a fleeting moment. Indeed, it paused, as if time itself conspired to ensnare them between disbelief and yearning. In that brief interval, they experienced more than mere astonishment. It was a surge of every memory, conversation, and unexpressed sentiment regarding you, rushing back all at once. This individual, whom you might assume to be composed in your presence, found themselves breathless as though struck by an extraordinary force. What heightened this moment was their unpreparedness for the truth your presence unearthed within them, a truth they had been evading, suppressing, and denying, believing they could keep it at bay. Yet, even a fleeting glimpse of you compelled their heart to silently confess. I continue to feel everything. They did not articulate it aloud, but their reaction spoke volumes, reflecting all they had desperately tried to conceal. Even now, they replay that moment repeatedly, questioning how your presence could resonate so profoundly after everything that transpired. They were astonished by the tightening in their chest, how their breath faltered, and how they needed to compose themselves so that others would not discern their turmoil. What they felt was something profound, far beyond the ordinary sensations one might experience upon encountering just anyone. It was a seismic emotional shift, a tremor only provoked when someone occupies an irreplaceable space in your soul, one that cannot be dismissed or ignored. In that instant, when they saw you, every barrier they had erected began to sway, revealing the fragility of their strength when confronted with you. Unbeknownst to them, the universe had intentionally placed your essence before them precisely when they were striving to maintain their emotional equilibrium. They had convinced themselves they were functioning normally, committed to moving forward, but your sudden appearance fractured their facade. Not through pain, but in a manner that unveiled all they had been burying. Their breath almost escaped them, not from fear, but because certain feelings are simply too substantial to remain concealed. Your presence incites every dormant emotion they attempt to silence. They were left astonished and overwhelmed, reminded that regardless of the journey or the silence that followed, you possess an inexplicable influence over their spirit that even they fail to comprehend or control. The crux of the matter is this: they did not merely lose their breath upon seeing you, they lost their balance, their rationale, and the carefully constructed narratives they devised to justify their emotional distance. Your appearance caught them off guard, leaving them vulnerable and exposed. In that moment, they perceived something real and pure about you, something beyond their expectations that transformed everything within them. Seeing you again did not simply astonish them. It compelled them to acknowledge that their feelings had neither waned nor dissipated. If anything, those feelings had intensified, becoming more pronounced and formidable, leaving them fearful of the reasons the universe continues to place you in their path. My dear child, something remarkable transpires each time you continue to listen. The reaction they exhibited upon witnessing your presence was merely the beginning of a deeper revelation unfurling beneath the surface of their breathless astonishment, a truth they have sought to elude for months, if not years. When they observed you, it was not a mere heartbeat skipped, it was a jolt of awakening, a reminder of every moment they wished to forget. Every sentiment they endeavored to suppress, and every unspoken truth cloaked in silence. They find themselves contemplating why fate allowed your presence to manifest precisely at that particular moment and in that specific context. They remain oblivious to the reality that the universe has been gradually nudging them closer to an unavoidable reckoning. Pay heed and remain with me, for what I am about to disclose next is what they themselves fear to confront. Following that breath-stealing moment, they could not resume their day as if nothing had transpired. They could not simply walk away, pretending that the encounter was coincidental. No, they froze, for something deep within murmured, "This is not over." That whisper remained persistent, shadowing every memory, every emotion, every heartbeat linked to you. They attempted to distract themselves, to refocus, to breathe, and to dismiss their feelings, yet their thoughts continually circled back to you, back to that moment, back to the shock of encountering you unexpectedly. What you may not realize is that after witnessing your presence, their hands trembled slightly. They replayed that moment repeatedly in their mind, striving to decipher why such an impact was felt. Was it your voice, your face, your message, your image, or was it the way life itself seemingly paused around them, as if waiting for their response? A surge of sensation rushed through their chest that was invisible to those around them. Yet it reverberated within them. They were unprepared for such an overwhelming wave of feeling. Nevertheless, the universe presented it to them without warning, for some connections are impermanent, some truths cannot be suppressed. Certain emotions, especially those linked to you, demand acknowledgement. Here, the narrative takes a pivotal turn. After that overwhelming moment, something shifted within them. For the first time in a lengthy period, they began to reevaluate their actions, their silence, their distance, their decisions. They started to question whether retreating, remaining silent, or feigning indifference had been erroneous choices. The moment they nearly lost their breath revived a part of them they believed had diminished, an aspect that still cares, still hopes, and still remembers. Their heart is now engaged in a contention with their mind, vacillating between logic and feeling, between what they perceive to be right and what they genuinely feel deep within. The emotional tempest they are enduring is stronger than anything they have encountered in recent times. Now, please listen attentively because what follows is the genuine reason they struggled to breathe upon seeing you. It was not merely astonishment, it was recognition of something they presumed lost, recognition of the enduring bond that persists, and recognition of how your presence kindles a spark that cannot be replicated elsewhere. Your energy, spirit, and essence collided with them in a singular, powerful wave, and within that deluge, they uncovered a terrifying yet beautiful truth: they are not finished with you, not emotionally, not spiritually, not in terms of destiny. Regardless of their attempts to resist, their heart continuously draws them back toward you in an indefinable manner. My beloved child, before you take your next breath, grasp the magnitude of what occurred within them after that moment of shock. It did not dissipate, it did not resolve, and it certainly did not calm. Instead, it instigated a tempest of emotions that they could no longer contain. Their chest felt heavy, their pulse accelerated, and the surrounding silence grew deafening. They were uncertain whether to flee, to pause, or to reach for you. For your presence did not merely catch them off guard, it awakened them, striking a chord in their heart that had lain dormant, longing for a sign they had not anticipated. After witnessing you, they found themselves rooted to the spot, gazing at the screen, the message, the image, the essence of your energy, grappling with how something seemingly small could resonate so profoundly within them. The longer they stared, the more the truth surged forth from the depths of their being. They experienced a longing, not one that shattered them, but one that reminded them of feelings they had been pretending to suppress. Memories they believed had faded crashed back like a tidal wave, and in that realization, they understood that they were not as detached as they had pretended, not in the least. Seeing you again did not simply impact them, it unraveled them from within. As they moved on afterward, their mind began to rebel, inundated with questions. Why did seeing them affect me so profoundly? Why now? Why is this still pertinent? But deep within, they were aware of the answer, having known it for some time but continued to flee from it. Because each time you appear, something in them ignites in a manner they do not experience with anyone else. It transcends attraction, emotions, and taps into something raw, real, and undeniable, a connection that cannot be erased, regardless of their efforts to do so. They attempted to breathe deliberately, to calm their racing heart, to dismiss the feelings, yet the image of you remained etched in their mind, an indelible mark. Following that moment, their day transformed drastically. They were unable to concentrate, unable to pretend that nothing had occurred, unable to act as if you did not occupy space in their heart. They incessantly checked their phone, even in the absence of justification, and envisioned conversations with you, wondering what they would articulate if destiny provided another opportunity. Their thoughts were consumed by what-ifs, maybes, and pondering whether this was a sign. In truth, a part of them felt that the universe conveyed a message for which they were unprepared, but one they could not overlook. For sometimes, life reveals the depths of your heart through unanticipated moments, and witnessing you again was undoubtedly one of those instances, my beloved child. What follows will elucidate why their reaction has intensified since that moment when they nearly lost their breath. After that silent shock, after the emotional tremor in their heart, something deep within began to shift in a manner they can no longer resist. They endeavored to maintain their composure, yet the truth is that they have replayed the moment they saw you so frequently that it has begun to reshape their perception of their own life. They can no longer dismiss the significance of it. Your arrival not only reignited long-buried emotions but also revealed an aspect of their psyche they had concealed from themselves. Unexpectedly, they catch themselves reflecting on you throughout their day, as though your essence has woven itself into every facet of their existence. They find themselves pondering how a mere glance of you could unravel the emotional barriers they have maintained for weeks, months, or perhaps years. The resonance of your voice lingers in their moments of solitude, and they feel your essence even in your absence. The most perplexing element is that this was never their intention. They had not prepared themselves for the surge of feelings that washed over them. Yet it came on with an overwhelming force they could not withstand. Attempts to breathe normally afterward felt futile, as if their chest were loaded with unspoken emotions. Efforts to divert their thoughts proved ineffective, as their mind kept returning to you. Attempts to maintain composure resulted in visions of you flooding their mind, each more vivid than the last. They have started to notice subtle signs, small incidents, peculiar coincidences, that make them ponder if fate is compelling them toward each other. A sight today drew your memory to the forefront of their consciousness. A sound reminded them of you, flooding them with recollections. A feeling stirred within that did not seem coincidental. Each sign reinforces their realization that their connection transcends mere emotionality. It embodies something spiritual, something profound and larger than the two of them. They are beginning to grasp that the feelings stirred by your presence were not only reactions, they represented a profound revelation. It was a reminder that, despite life's attempts to separate them, certain souls remain intrinsically connected in ways beyond worldly comprehension. They have attempted to pacify their thoughts, yet their curiosity about you has only intensified. They wonder about your current state, your activities, your emotions. They speculate whether you experienced anything when your paths crossed once more. Did your heart quicken as well? Do you perceive the change as they do? Although hesitant to voice it, they are starting to comprehend a transformative realization. The sentiments they once aimed to suppress never truly vanished. They merely lay dormant, patiently waiting for the universe to bring you into their orbit again. Now, they stand at a pivotal juncture in their heart, confronted with the choice of continuing to flee from their feelings or finally confronting the truth they have evaded. That truth is unequivocal: whatever they once felt for you has persisted. It lay silent, yearning for the moment of your return. And now that you are present, even in the most subtle manner, they cannot ignore the gravitational force drawing them toward you. They cannot deny the spark that remains alive. They cannot escape the connection that refuses to fade. My dear child, what I am about to unveil now is the aspect they desperately aim to conceal from those around them. For ever since they glimpsed your presence, their emotions have spiraled into realms they never wished to revisit. They believed they were in control, that they had moved on. They assumed that distance, silence, and time had dulled their sentiments. However, a mere sight of you caused the walls they constructed to collapse as if they were mere dust. Inside them, something powerful is now rising, something they cannot suppress, silence, or bury any longer. Since that stunning moment, their mind has transformed into a battlefield. On one hand, the logical voice implores them to forget, to remain detached, to act as though they did not experience those feelings. Conversely, the emotional voice, tethered to you, reverberates louder than ever. It reminds them how your presence affects them like no other. It plays the tenderness in your eyes, the laughter you shared, the warmth of your spirit on repeat. They recall small details you may be unaware they noticed, and with every recollection, the truth becomes harder to obscure. They find themselves vacillating mentally, torn between the desire to reach out to you and the fear of what that might entail. They fear that encountering you once more has kindled a hope, genuine, raw, and unexpected hope. Hope that perhaps the narrative between you two is not concluded. Hope that destiny might be offering another opportunity. Hope that the bond they shared was not illusory or transitory. This hope poses a risk, not because it inflicts pain but because it feels profoundly real, alive, and familiar, feelings they find challenging to manage. Though they strive to dismiss it, every effort pulls them deeper into thoughts of you. What they dare not confess to anyone, yet their heart murmurs nightly, is that they miss you more than they care to acknowledge. They miss the serenity you provided effortlessly. They miss the manner in which your presence would both soothe and invigorate them, heal and bewilder them all at once. They miss the version of themselves that awakened solely in your company. Now, as the universe presents your essence to them once more, all those repressed emotions surge back with such intensity that they cannot resist. They are endeavoring to comprehend why encountering you resonates so profoundly within them. Yet the answer remains clear: the connection between you was never meant to dissipate. Even now, they replay the precise moment they laid eyes on you, how their heart leaped, how they caught their breath, how their thoughts momentarily ceased. That moment became entrenched in their memory. An imprint they cannot erase, regardless of their efforts. It prompted them to question everything they believed they understood about their feelings. They find themselves pondering what might occur were they to cease resisting this connection and surrender to it entirely. Deep within their chest, a truth begins to emerge, slowly, quietly, but unmistakably. Their heart has always been yours, irrespective of their outward actions. Now, they are positioned where denial becomes untenable. The truth unfurls within them, irrespective of their willingness to accept it. The instant they beheld you did more than steal their breath, it reawakened a facet of their soul that only you can touch. That epiphany is reshaping everything within them. My beloved child, we now venture into the part of the narrative where their emotions transition from mere whispers to resounding waves. Since that breathless moment when your presence surged into their life, something within them has been shifting intensely, rendering any semblance of apathy impossible. They have attempted, earnestly, to maintain composure, to conceal their feelings, to portray a sense of normalcy. But beneath the surface, something is unraveling, something genuine, something raw, something even they have been concealing from themselves. Their thoughts have become louder than their reality, replaying the precise moment when your essence permeated their day, igniting a spark that refuses to extinguish. Whether it was a photo, a message, a fleeting glance, or resurfacing memory, whatever it was struck them directly, catching their breath in their throat. Since that instant, they have been navigating an emotional twilight, a realm where everything feels denser, deeper, more acute. They cannot shake the imagery of you. They cannot silence the rising inquiries in their mind. They cannot disregard how their heart reacts at the mere mention of your name. What they choose not to confess yet feel incessantly is that they've longed for you far beyond their expressions. They've been mulling over whether fate is attempting to communicate something essential. They question why the universe orchestrated your presence in their line of sight at such an unforeseen moment. They ponder whether they ever genuinely let go or merely feigned it. The truth has become inescapable. The feelings they harbor for you have never actually departed. They were entombed, not obliterated, asleep, not absent. Ever since they encountered you again, even the simplest aspects of life have begun to trigger memories of you. A sound, a hue, the twilight hour, a familiar scent wafting through the air, or a phrase echoing something you once articulated. It's as if their heart has subconsciously retuned itself to your frequency. While resisting this tide, their emotions are forcibly pulling them toward the very truth they have sought to evade. You hold significance for them in ways they cannot articulate, cannot conceal, and cannot replicate. You occupy a segment of their soul that no one else can access. As much as they endeavor to remain composed, something within is set to break free. The more they contemplate you, the more they recognize the emptiness that accompanied the distance. The more they reflect on your presence, the more they yearn for the comfort you effortlessly provided. The more they recapitulate their encounter with you, the heavier the burden of all that remains unspoken feels. They have tried to obscure their emotions beneath obligations, routines, and diversions, but none of these defenses hold now. The truth has grown too powerful to ignore, and it is drawing them back toward you. Whether they acknowledge it or not, they are beginning to recognize that the moment that almost took their breath was not just emotional, it was an omen, a clarion call, a reminder that some connections are too profound to fade, too substantial to overlook, and too deep to abandon. Now, within their heart, something stirs. Quiet yet assertive, a desire to comprehend, a desire to reconnect, a desire to cease fleeing from their emotions regarding you. That breathtaking moment did more than startle them, it ignited their awareness, and now nothing feels quite the same within them. My beloved child, we are now entering the phase where their once muted feelings demand expression. Ceasing to be concealed, even from themselves. Since that moment when their breath caught after your presence re-emerged, their inner world has been shifting uncontrollably. They have attempted to anchor themselves, to remain rational, to treat the incident as a fleeting reaction. But the reality is that it was anything but. It marked the onset of an awakening within, a powerful, emotional surge that cannot be buried again. For days, they have carried a sense of restlessness in their heart, an undeniable weight on their chest, a pull that defies explanation. Each time they close their eyes, the memory of that split second resurfaces, the shock, the stillness, the suspension of breath. They anticipated feeling nothing, yet, upon seeing you, their heart betrayed them, breaking through their defenses and crumbling the walls they had long erected. They wander through their day with that feeling trapped inside them, vacillating between resistance and surrender. They find themselves glancing at their phone longer than necessary, wondering if you experienced anything similar. They catch themselves revisiting conversations they vowed never to read again. They ponder why destiny exposed your presence to them at such a pivotal moment. Was it serendipity? Timing? Or perhaps the universe nudging them back toward something they never genuinely relinquished? Their heart possesses the answer, even if their mind hesitates to voice it. Seeing you again has indeed awakened a truth they have long fought to silence. What they feel now is not simplistic, it's an emotional turmoil stronger than their rationale. They question choices aimed at self-preservation, realizing that the distance they established fostered a hushed longing rather than healing. Now, all that suppressed yearning has erupted into a forceful, undeniable tide. With each mention of your name, they feel it within their chest, their breath, and their thoughts drifting toward you unbidden. Their heart refuses to stabilize, and the most profound shift has taken place beneath the surface. They are no longer where they were before your reappearance. That singular moment rewired something fundamental within them, illuminating their perception of you as softer, more potent, clearer, and profoundly more real. It reinforced the connection between you that time cannot obscure. Now, whether they acknowledge it or not, they approach the edge of a realization that elicits both fear and comfort. Their heart has always been intertwined with yours. That breath-stealing moment was not merely a shock, it revitalized the aspect of their soul that remains forever linked to you.